This podcast was brought to you by Uncle Geeb Productions. Hey guys, and welcome everyone to the Uncle Geeb Podcast. I'm your sniffly host, Uncle Geeb, and with me is Hoster Media Gaming. We record this podcast live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, or anywhere you can find a podcast. You can also become a member of this podcast and get extra podcast content every month. Also, please go ahead, if you enjoy this podcast, what we do every single week, even if you just listen on the stream and on YouTube or watch on YouTube, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, preferably Apple. It just helps us out a ton. We don't ask you guys enough, so please leave us a 5-star review. It would do us a huge solid on the audio side of things, getting us seen, pushed up on the Apple Podcast charts. If you enjoy what we do and you want to support some local bros who make some content, please do that. Drip, we got a big podcast tonight. We're going to be talking about some Nintendo patents that you may or may not have seen. And we're going to be talking about some Switch 2 stuff that, you know, for me, I think we talked about in the podcast before, but for me, I know, Drip, I have overlooked some of the things.
You've had an epiphany.
I've had an epiphany.
That's what you've had.
Last night, and it kind of just, it didn't quite sink in with me until last night. Oh, that's right. And we'll get to that later on the episode. But again, things that you missed about the Switch and everything like that. But Drip, before we get into that part of the episode, how are you doing this week, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic this week. I've had a very, 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 very busy week. I did get a lot of other work done. I've been shooting shoes most of the week.
I saw the shoes. I didn't respond.
Goodyear shoes.
Those shoes look like
Goodyear.
They look like Ferrari shoes, man.
Yeah. Well, the picture I sent you, I mean, they're cool. Where are they? There's a pair back there. I can't reach them. But they're for racing, but they're also for like sim racing. Like I told him whenever I got the videos, I was like, you know, I don't really have like cool place to like shoot these in a real car because I drive a Honda Pilot, not like the coolest thing ever. But I have all this sim. Like, I have pedals, like Logitech pedals, and they're like, yeah, do that, just do that. So I made all the videos I have done. I've been basing it around that stuff, but it's been a very busy week. It's been a good week though. It's been a good week.
Yeah,
it's a great week.
Wish I could say the same thing about myself.
I know. Yeah, you're sick. You're sick.
You guys may have heard me say or hear right now currently that I got a little bit of sniffles. That's why this podcast is one day late for you guys who are keeping up with things. I could have gone yesterday. I'm feeling the same I am today as I was yesterday, but I sounded a lot worse. I think it was a better idea for us to push the podcast for today. It was
definitely a better idea. When you called me this morning, I was like, oh, this is a different guy than I talked to yesterday.
Yeah, I have energy
yesterday
today.
You sounded like this.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the German podcast.
Today it's not quite that bad, but yeah, you were. Yeah, I could tell yesterday. Or was that yesterday or was it Wednesday?
Well, no, we talked on Wednesday, and I was feeling
Wednesday evening.
I
was like, oh yeah,
Tuesday or
this
Wednesday?
guy.
Either way, and then I was okay. Monday and Tuesday were bad days. I was kind of dizzy from all the mucus, so I just kind of had to like lay down for a day. And Tuesday, I was like, man, I'm still kind of dizzy. But then Tuesday eve, like afternoon, I got up and did some stuff. I did some laundry, I caught up with some stuff, and I think I did that too soon because then Wednesday morning,
it just hit you like a ton of bricks.
Exactly, I had a fever. I didn't have a fever the previous Tuesday. I had a fever.
Like, whatever you have. My brother has the same exact thing right now.
Yeah, and that knocked me out for a while. Like a few hours, I just slept for just 3 hours straight in like afternoon, and then I was fine Wednesday evening, and then Thursday again, and here we are Friday. So anyway, that's my health update. But I'm doing all right. Apologize if you hear some little coffee coughs and sniffles throughout the episode. I apologize for that. It's gonna happen, but the show must go on, Drip.
It's like my yawns; they just happen.
Yeah, man. The show must go on.
Talked about it. I'm fighting one back.
Yeah, stop. You need to stop it. You're driving me insane with it because
I can't help it.
I see you yawn, and now like right here, my body's like, you need to yawn.
It's right there. It's right there. I know. I hate it.
Stop it.
Anyway, not talking about yawning anymore. What are we talking about?
Drip, we're going to be talking about... I'm going to throw this up randomly. I have another game this week. I know it said to be monthly, but I got one more game I need to shout out this week. I need to shout out Sea of Stars. Last week we talked about a pretty cool game, Myth Force. But this week, Sea of Stars, it came out, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe, or maybe a month ago at this point. Unless you've been living under a rock, as far as like following Nintendo content, or just gaming content in general, this game is, it's not a game I thought I would be into. It's a kind of ode to like, is it Chrono Trigger? Is that the game it's an ode to? And other those 90
right.
90
right.
RPGs, but like in a new stylized way for modern gaming. Not the game I gravitate toward, but I played it on Game Pass. I got a free trial for Game Pass this month and tried it out and really enjoyed it. I purposely stopped playing it soon because I know one day I'm going to get on Switch, and when that day comes, I will beat it on Switch. But I just had such a great time. The characters are so fun to follow their journeys with, and I enjoyed it a ton. And I just want to shout that game out. I encourage Drip to play it whenever he gets around to it, just to try it and see, because
I know already I'm not gonna like it. I already know I'm not gonna like it.
You're a guy who likes a good story, and I feel like
I love a good story.
Will deliver that to you. So
I love a good story, but I also hate turn-based combat. Fucking hate it.
it's a different. This game's different. I'm telling you, it's different. Anyway,
well,
we won't spend any more time on that. Try it if you haven't picked up Sea of Stars. Give it a try. It's on Game Pass for free. Switch is $35. Wait for a sale maybe on that. It's a little high, I think, but it's worth every penny of it. But I would wait for a sale.
The only thing I've played this week is Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Steam Deck,
which is not
still
coming
playing
to
through
Switch.
that again. I'm gonna beat that again.
Yeah,
I'm being a bad guy this time, and I played Uno a bunch on Switch.
Okay, great.
Dude, Uno online is fun. It's so fun.
Random, but cool. I listen. I like playing the board game. Clue. It's a fun one. That's one of the first.
Do you have
games
Uno
I had.
on Switch?
No, I don't.
If anybody out there has Uno on Switch, let me know. We will play. I had a lot of fun playing that actually. But that's it. I haven't played anything else this week, I don't think.
Yeah. Cool. Drip beer of the week. You have something pretty cool as far as the can's concerned. Just go ahead and show the people the can. I think it's pretty cool. You got your Busch.
Yes, beer of the week. I forgot we're doing this. Okay, so mine is an old favorite.
Yeah.
It's one that the sound effects aren't working. I just realized.
Oh, that's a shame.
Hold on.
No.
My sound effects are working. There it is.
There it is.
Oh, love that little cello solo.
All right. Yeah, I'll be very quick with mine. Mine's an oldie but a goodie. It's a classic. It's my favorite. You're gonna have a really hard time seeing this. So
Yeah.
put your face very close to your phone or walk up to your TV. But I have Busch Light.
Mm-hmm.
But we have our seasonal camouflage cans.
Are you gonna show them?
I'm showing them.
No, you're not.
Oh,
I don't see
you're
any.
right.
I don't see anything.
I know. Like I said, it's hard to see. It's very hard to see.
I mean, I don't think you're I don't think you're showing them anything.
I promise it's there.
I think you're lying, and they're making me upset that you're lying.
Okay,
to
if
people.
I move it like this, maybe you can see it like pop out. Can you see it now?
yeah. No, I can't see you.
Yeah, if you move it, you can see the sides. I know it's very tough to see. It's the same great tasting Busch Light, just in a beautiful camouflage can, which can get annoying. I found myself accidentally opening new beers because I just lose my old ones.
Yeah.
What do you got, Geeb?
I have, my friend, fitting for
Gatorade.
Fitting for what I've went through the past week. I got Gatorade. I'm gonna drink.
Perfect.
It's the
That
last
is fitting.
The last Gatorade that I have in my possession here. I'm gonna drink it because I was a sick boy, and I was drinking some Gatorade every now and again. Some soup. Had some soup and some Gatorade, and that's what I was doing this past week. So, in honor of the sickness,
That's all you need.
need.
Soup and Gatorade. What flavor is that?
Oh my God, it's impossible to open. There we go.
What flavor is that?
Excuse me. It is Frost. It's the Frost kind. Riptide Rush. It's purple.
Ooh, a little Riptide Rush. Look out.
We actually bought
Mystic
these
Mountain Blueberry.
We bought these Gatorades on Friday morning on our way to Indiana for our Greta Van Fleet experience. That was
fun. Saw the pictures. Looked like you guys had fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Really good time. They put on a good show, as expected. And they did it great. But And by the way, I did not pick up the sickness from them, ironically, from the show. I picked it up from Mrs. Geeb and her being a kindergarten teacher, and brought something home last Thursday or Wednesday, whenever it was. So, that's where this came from, not from the show. Just FYI.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. We've stalled enough drip. Oh, this is so good, by the way. These are so good.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I've had that. It is so good. You're right.
So, podcast. We're a Nintendo podcast, not a Greta Van Fleet Gatorade podcast.
Are you sure? We might be.
I mean, Mrs. G would be very happy if we were, but we're not. So we're going to talk about patents. You may not have seen this, guys, if you've been living under a rock. I keep saying that tonight. That's not really the case for this. We're going to be talking about some things tonight that you may have either overlooked about the Switch 2 or Nintendo in general, or just straight up missed. And we're going to start with some things that you may have missed. So there have been lots of patents over the years from Nintendo that they put out regarding their consoles and their gaming, division. And there's some pretty interesting ones on the list, Drip, don't you think?
Some of these I wish were real. Some of them I'm why in the hell? Like, why is this even a thing? Well, I'm just saying, like, actually, like, we had them. Some of them are very cool. Some of them are stupid. Some of them make absolutely no sense. Some of these I look at and I'm like, what purpose does that even serve? And they file these patents, so it's like, I mean, I guess so what? So if like the idea can't be taken by somebody else, but like nobody wants this idea. Nobody wants half these ideas. Nobody would ever use these. Some of them are very good. Some of them are very stupid. Are you talking about the Joy-Con ones here specifically? Is that what you've got pulled up?
Yes, mostly Joy-Con patents.
Okay, I want to the first one here, the standalone Joy-Con. I remember whenever they were talking about this one. This one was filed in 2018.
Can we call it the PowerPoint clicker?
We could call it that. Yeah, the standalone Joy-Con. But what this one reminds me of is, and I told you about this earlier, but I think what would have been really cool is, do you remember the Mario Party game? The Mario Party game that they put out that came bundled in with Joy-Cons because you have to use Joy-Cons with the game, right? Mm-hmm. This would have been a great place to just drop those standalone Joy-Cons, especially for people with Switch Lites who just need that type of Joy-Con just so they have one to use. Those would have been perfect. I can't believe they didn't put those out. Yeah, these ones are actually pretty cool. Do you see the 6 pictures of them? I mean, they're cool.
Wait, there's more pictures of the Joy-Con?
Oh yeah, on the bottom there. Hit the 6 images right on the bottom of the photo there.
I don't see. Oop. What have I done? What is happening on my computer right now? There we go. The website is like broken for me right now. I'm not sure what's going on, unfortunately. But
I don't even know what you're looking at.
It's broke. The whole website's broke. I gotta close it out.
All right.
Continue on.
The standalone ones I think are cool. Those are old. I mean, a lot of these are old. The next one I know a lot of people probably remember, the hinged Joy-Cons.
Yes.
I don't know when those. I mean, that was earlier. That was way earlier. Yeah. Okay. It was published in 2019. This is another one of the 2018 ones, I guess. But like, let me ask you, because I don't get it. What is the point of folding half of your Joy-Con over on top of itself? What does that do for ergonomics or like anything at all? What does it do?
Yeah,
what is it for?
Couldn't tell you. Looks kind of dumb. I'm kind of glad that it's not a feature. I
just don't get it.
It bends from the center point of the Joy-Con just underneath the stick, and it bends backwards but past the screen. And I guess in some world that's more ergonomic. But here's a thought, Drip. Let me put a thought in your head real fast. That may or may not be ergonomic. We don't know because we're not touching them. But here's a thought. What if they just made, I don't know, a bigger, more meatier Joy-Con with bigger buttons and more separation, a stick that's a little bit larger as well. Yeah, what if they did that instead of whatever the fuck this is? Because this is just a stupid idea from start to finish. If it's simply about portability, I think it's dumb because they're already small and portable. Why do you need to have the size?
Well, there's no way it's about portability.
Or if it's about,
look at it.
Or if it's about Ergonomics, again, Drip. Just a bad idea. Just simply a bad idea.
That's what I'm saying. Like me holding a Joy-Con right here, I don't see how bending this part of it sideways is going to make it any more comfortable for me. Like, I feel like that's just going to make it more difficult to do things with. I don't know. And then I look at a controller and I'm like, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
But not really.
Not really. Not like that.
I don't know.
And Full Metal brings a really good point up that we should mention here if you don't understand how patents work. Patents, patents are I'm not gonna quote her exactly. Basically, what she's saying is patents aren't necessarily for they're not necessarily good ideas, right? What their main purpose is to make sure that nobody else can take your idea or use it.
Well, I mean, nobody's taking that one. I can promise you that.
I don't see anyone taking this.
That one probably should have just went in the trash because it doesn't make any sense. And then, okay, we can go through some of these a little bit quicker because, I mean, a lot of these are just whatever. The wide Joy-Cons, it's basically just like a wider Joy-Con that is the same exact thing, which that probably actually would have been a good idea.
Maybe, but the thickness is also thin.
It's still flat,
which is dumb because now you've made them wider. Why not make them a bit thicker? That's dumb.
Or just just some type of grip on the back.
Buttons look the same size, and the stick looks very small. Again, if you're gonna do the whole thing. Don't go half-ass. This is just silly, and I don't understand why they patent this, but why didn't they just patent the big fat Joy-Con like the ones that we can buy from Nixie or from Bin Block? Why didn't they patent?
I don't know why they never did
Why would they
what
patent a style like that? Because those are the ones that are selling right now. Nobody's buying this crap. Doesn't exist because it's not a good idea.
The next one, the D-pad and thumbstick Joy-Con. This one's interesting because it's got, I don't know what the two little buttons are down there.
That's a circle pad, my friend.
That's like the one in the middle there. Mm-hmm. That is basically what's on the 3DS.
Right, a circle pad.
It's one of those flat little movable sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a terrible idea.
Circle pads are absolutely a terrible idea. I will die on that hill.
But I mean, if you're buying this, you're buying it because you want the D-pad.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're still giving you a stick there at all is interesting. Now, the next one, it's just D-pads on both sides and the sticks are completely gone.
Yeah, we see a variation of this with...
I have that controller.
What is it called?
The 8BitDo
Lite. It's not a Joy-Con controller. It is just a single standalone controller made for portability, ultra portability, because it doesn't have any sticks. Obviously, it's super flat, super small.
But did you see that even 8BitDo came back and made the Lite too, and it does have sticks.
Right, because they were like, this is a bad idea. Which, unless it's a Player 4 controller for a 8-year-old and you got a bunch of kids in your house, other than that, don't see the purpose of having something like that. That's the one that
lives in my backpack all the time.
Yeah.
I don't use it for any. It's literally there for emergencies only. I don't know what the next one is. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Plug-in controller pieces.
Yeah, let's just skip it. I'm not really interested.
I don't even know how that would not even go on the Switch.
Here's one interesting thing. Let's not talk about this for too long, but here's one interesting thing. I'm going to circle it with my mouse right here. This is a really interesting part right here. This looks like a whole new way of thinking about Joy-Con. This is obviously not a regular Switch tablet. This is a Switch tablet that has no rails that connects a controller with with magnets.
That's what it looks. It looks like magnets. Yes.
So interesting thought here. If any, actually, here's another thought altogether, Drip. This is actually not at all even. This is not a rail. This is not a rail replacement. What this is like a. Think of it like how the iPads have like portable keyboard attachments that attach magnetically, or like a Surface tablet. Microsoft. Yeah. This is like maybe put it on the different side of the Switch, and it just kind of taps on as like an extra input method. It's just a cool. I think this is actually a cool idea. Personally, it's
interesting.
It's a cool idea. Not as a this is a dumb photo. Again, audio people, I apologize. This is kind of visual right now. But this is having it just like as a.
It looks like an Etch-a-Sketch.
I couldn't. Go ahead. Yeah. With a Tamagotchi. With Tamagotchi attached to it.
I don't even know with what.
A Tamagotchi. A Tamagotchi, like an Etch-a-Sketch with a Tamagotchi attached to it.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't even know what that would be for. Like, what would you actually, like, how would you use that in a game? Or anything. That's just 4 buttons. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let's move on.
It's weird, but you know what this kind of reminds me of?
What's that?
That fake render of the Switch that we just got recently, the Switch 2, with the weird Joy-Cons, the way they connected. This kind of reminds me of the way they made them connect on that fake render. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. All right. Next thing looks like a what are those things called that the
like
Nintendo
a Game
makes?
and Watch.
A Game and Watch. Yeah.
Modular controller elements.
Yeah. Whatever. Not really what I'm here
Yeah.
for tonight. Next thing. Excuse me. I apologize. A Joy-Con that has a stylus attached to it.
Yeah, it's not even a Joy-Con really though. All it is just a little thing that comes down the side. What are those things called?
A rail, a Joy-Con rail. Not rail.
Yeah,
the little the wrist strap. A wrist strap.
Yeah.
That
The wrist
has
strap.
the stylus attached to it.
Yeah, I mean that's that is what it is. Yes, that would have been a cool little accessory that you could buy for $5 or whatever. I mean, I don't know that many people who would need it. Mario Maker would have benefited from that probably.
No, I think that's a product that should have been made personally, because why the hell not?
This one especially. This is not like a super weird thing, and this, especially at the time, like when Mario Maker came out, that would have probably been something that sold a lot.
Yeah. Well, Drip, we showed you that list because I thought it was interesting, but there's a few that I want to highlight that we did not see in that list. The first thing that I want to talk about, we actually already talked about the hinge Joy-Con, so we can avoid that. Let's talk about the scroll wheel real fast, Drip.
I have not seen that. I still don't believe you that that's a thing.
But we saw it on YouTube. It's a thing. I thought it was a newer patent. Apparently, it's not. It's a very old patent. But basically, the concept is the bumper buttons on your Joy-Con or controller in general. The bumper buttons, so like that would be the R1, L1 if you're a PlayStation user. Those buttons are basically mouse. But this if you guys use a mouse, which
like a scroll wheel,
you probably should in this day and age, a scroll wheel on your mouse. But so the buttons are a hybrid button and a scroll wheel, which would make for an interesting gimmick. Not something that I think should be anywhere on a Nintendo console anymore. I think Nintendo has passed the gimmicks, personally.
I could see that actually being useful for things, as long as it's still click too. Like it's still a usable button, but you can also. I think that would actually be pretty cool.
If it locks
honestly.
if it locks out of scrolling and you can turn on the lock on and off the lock, I think that'd be a fun feature. But to really kind of the last thing I want to do, we've talked about this in the past in the podcast, but the last thing I want them to do is distract from the next console release with a gimmick. I think the next console needs to have no gimmicks. Don't distract from what they're gonna what the goal is. The goal
it's Nintendo, man,
is a powerful console that competes with the likes of the other consoles out there. That's what they need to focus on. You can always release another Joy-Con with those bumpers on it later. You can release. That's the benefit of having a Switch hybrid tablet like it is with the Joy-Con the way it is, because you can put accessories out there that are the gimmicks later on. Like if you want a game that has a camera attachment, there you go. If you want to have if you want a game use scroll wheels for
how much do they do that with the Switch? None.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like the huge thing when we saw what it was finally.
Yeah.
The fact that the controllers came off, everybody online that does that type of stuff was like, "Oh yeah, GameCube controller, 64 controller, like all the renders with all these weird crazy controllers," and we got absolutely none of them. Not from Nintendo. We got the GameCube ones from 2 other companies later on, 6 years later.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, man. I don't trust them when it comes to stuff like that anymore. They used to do all that stuff. They used to do all the fun stuff, all the extra this and that, and they just stopped.
Yeah. It's a bit silly that I'm holding these third-party Joy-Con that are GameCube controllers that Nintendo just could have did themselves and did it way better. So
yeah.
Here's the thing that
I don't know. I mean,
here's the patent.
That whole thing is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the patent that I think is the most intriguing one. Very recent one. Excuse me. Sorry. Not Hall effect sticks, but Nintendo's variation of Hall effect sticks. Whether basically using magnets in their own Joy-Con. Drip, I think you're gonna, not that we disagree, but I think that you have a more positive out. I don't have a negative outlook. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the next console, especially with all the controversy that Nintendo has, the lawsuits they've had to go through regarding the stick drift on Joy-Con? How ballsy would it be to then just to never make a revision on the Switch and just make the next console have no drift problems whatsoever, and that whole thing?
Well, I think I'll start with the second part of that. You can't go back now. You can't go back. You can't go back and say, "Oh yeah, we messed up." You can't say you messed up. No, you can't. There's too much stuff going on. You can't. You just put out the fires and you keep moving forward, or else you're gonna lose a bunch of money. They're fixing them. It's a terrible situation. I haven't had a lot of problem with it.
Yeah,
but I know people do. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I know it's a thing. But in that situation, you can't go back. You got to hold your ground on that. Like, nope, we'll fix them if they're broke, but not our fault. It's not our fault. The fact that they're doing something about it, and this is kind of weird too, because I said when we first started talking about all the Hall effect sticks and all that stuff, I remember saying, I think we asked, like, who's going to do it first? Who's going to put it in their controller first? And I think you said it'll be Nintendo, and I said, no way, they won't do it. They won't do it. I mean, it looks like they're doing it. Yeah. It looks like they're doing it. It's showing it right here. I'm looking at it. And there's kind of two of them. Figure 6 is the one that I'm like, okay, that's definitely for a Joy-Con. Figure 4 looks like it's more for a controller. Like it's got a big box on the bottom. There's a lot of room in there. But the other one, Figure 6 is flat.
What do you
different.
I don't know what you're referencing. What are you referencing?
I'm looking at I'm looking at the whole rundown of the patent.
Where
I'll tell you what. I can give that to you.
Can you give it
Do you
to
not
me?
have it?
No, I guess not. I don't know where it went. But continue on.
You sent me something, and I found it in there. Here,
for some reason I'm not finding
it. Look at it. There it is.
Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Figure 4 is the one you can see. Clearly, it's flat. That is made for a Joy-Con, 100%. Because that's the big issue they had. A lot of people are like, oh, it's dust, it's this, it's that. It's not the dust. It's the fact that they're so thin and so small. They have that metal backing on them. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you've ever opened up the stick and looked at one of these things, on the back of them, there's a metal plate that's kind of connected to the sides, and everything pushes down on that. So especially when kids are forcing down on their sticks, I've watched my 7-year-old do it. I watched her destroy a stick. I had to open up her old Switch Lite and put new sticks in it because she absolutely trashed them with 43 hours of Pokemon Shield. Completely just trashed one of them. But you can see it when you take it out. It's bubbled out on the bottom. They can't read because everything is down there, and everything it's supposed to be touching has been pushed so far out that all the readings get messed up because it's not reading correctly. That's the problem with the Joy-Cons. That's why it's such a big problem in Joy-Cons. And I think, I don't know. In a controller, yeah, sure, why not? Whatever. But like the Joy-Cons need it. They need it. I mean, if they're going to do it, this is definitely the place to put the effort in to make it work. So, I mean, it's cool. I'm glad they're doing it. Yeah. You can't go back and fix the Switch now, though. You got to do it on the next thing, which makes me think that the next Joy-Cons will be at least slightly different looking. Maybe shaped.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I have concerns, Strip. We talked about this in the pre-show. I'm not catching off guard with this. I have concerns about adding Hall effect sticks to the next Switch. I have not. This is all my personal experiences. I'm not coming after. If you have a different experience, that's your experience out there. I've had a negative experience with Hall effect sticks, and I'll start here with my Nixies. While I do really like them still to this day, I do acknowledge the issues I have with it. There's plenty of issues I have with it. The main issue I have with it is the fact that my Hall effect sticks out of the box have been drifting. Now, hold on.
On that
specific controller.
Yeah.
And hold on. So when I say drifting, it did start with just like weird drifting, right? It was like, oh my God, like it's literally drifting. And I recalibrated and it was fine. The issue has turned from being a drifting issue to more of like it freaks the hell out. So like what ends up happening is it's not like with typical stick drift, if you have it, typically what happens is And if you in the direction that you
get a little,
your character starts walking in a particular direction. Typically, the direction you hold the stick the most often, because that's where it wears down. With this, the way it's working with the Hall effect stick, the quote unquote anti-drift stick, it's almost like a digital signal error, like a interference of some sort within the magnets or the tech of the stick, and it like literally jumps. It goes boo, beep, boo. I'm like in a menu, and all of a sudden I'm on option A, and then I go to option F, and then D, and then C, and then A1. And it just jumps all over the screen. And I noticed while I was playing Pikmin, it happened a few different times. That's when I first started noticing it, and I was like, okay, this is really kind of crazy. What the heck is going on here? But when I recalibrate it, it seems to fix it, and I don't have to do it ever again.
And you're doing it through the calibration in the Switch.
Switch.
Like the same thing that... It's so weird that even actually works with it to fix it, because it seems like that's a totally different area. You know what I mean? Because it deals with such different things, you wouldn't even think that would work correctly.
Yeah.
Now, we did talk about this, too. There could be firmware. And you said you looked. There might be some firmware that might fix that problem.
I never even thought about looking up firmware for the thing, and it's very possible that there is an issue with the firmware, and it just needs a little either fresh install or a reinstall or an upgrade. And Nixie on the website does have firmware for the Wizard, so I did download it. I'll mess with it later. Got to plug it in the computer and do all that. I guess I'm
interested to see what that's
TBD.
Do.
I'll let you guys know if the issue persists after that.
I'm interested. Yeah.
Excuse me, because otherwise, I really do like this controller, especially with these octagonal gates. I really
and I mean, I'll say like all the Pro controllers, the actual full controllers that I have with Hall effect sticks, they're fine. That's the thing about it. They say they don't drift, whatever. That's probably true. The science backs it, right?
Yes.
It's magnets. There's no friction.
Right.
So the science backs it. I have not used one of these controllers long enough to know whether it's going to drift or not. So it's like, I can take your word for it because all that sounds correct. But I mean, as far as like the stick itself goes, it just feels like another stick. I don't know.
So my issue with the Hall effect stick craze right now we're going through in gaming is it's a marketing tool, and they're making you think, the uninformed consumer, when you hear Hall effect, you think, oh, that means the sticks are great. That's just not the way it works. I've yet to feel a stick that feels better than any normal stick. Any Hall effect stick that feels better.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue
stick.
These on this controller, my Hex gaming controller, these sticks feel better than Hall effect sticks. These are great. These are fantastic. These might be like, and they're not. They're regular sticks. They're not Hall effect sticks.
There's a reason why we've stuck with the same tech for as long as we have, and Hall effect has been left in the past, because I think it's not necessarily that it's better. There are other issues associated with Hall effect that you're not seeing out there, because all the marketing, everyone's being sponsored by a company with a controller that has Hall effect sticks. Let's just be honest about that. All these videos on YouTube, most of them are either got sent for free or they're being sponsored and being paid to say certain things about these controllers. There are plenty out there that have their free opinion out there. Like my video, for example, my opinion was super positive with that controller because I was very excited to have it. I wasn't paid. I actually paid $70 for this controller like everybody else. But it was positive because I was excited for the controller, and it took a little bit longer for me to realize the issues I had with it. So there's plenty of people out there right now who are making reviews like that for this controller as well. But what I'm trying to get at here is that the marketing is telling you it's got Hall effect sticks, no drift sticks, to make you think that they're flawless sticks, and that could be the farthest thing from the truth. There is this. If anything, my controller is an example of how how Hall effect sticks can be, or how they can have flaws. I apologize, I got sick brain still.
I got you. But what you're saying is they bring a whole new set of problems. Well, it's a whole different basket of problems that these things could have. Yeah, they're not going to drift per se the way that they used to drift, but there's so many digital things that could go wrong inside of them that you don't even think of. You're like, oh no, Hall effect. That means they're perfect. That means no problems. It just means they're not going to have that specific set of problems.
Or drip. It not necessarily digital, because and again, I don't even know if this is a digital issue, but maybe not digital, but also my other example I've had with Hall effect sticks that I own are the ones that you gave to me when I was over at your place.
Yeah, I don't like those. I don't like those.
What are they called? What are they called again?
For the Gully Kit.
The Gully Kit, and
they're
no
very
drift
stiff.
sticks.
They're stiff.
They don't feel, guys. I can't tell you again how excited I was to throw these into my Joy-Con. I really was. Just like how excited I was for these Nixies, because Hall Effect was intriguing to me until I really had some bad experiences with it, and they feel like garbage. Like they feel worse than any.
They're crunchy in some places.
They're crunchy. They are stiff. They have no.
And
they have no travel. The stick itself, like the part you touch, is like a different kind of stick than the regular Joy-Con one, and you can't even put you can't put the same kind of stick covers on. I use stick covers with all my controllers, and you can't put the stick covers, the Joy-Con stick covers, on those sticks because they fall off.
Covers on your controllers, are they shaped like kittens?
I didn't say kittens.
They're shaped like kittens.
Maybe. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Are they paw prints? Do you have the paw print ones?
I do have the paw print ones. Yeah, sorry. No, man, I use the Skull and Co ones because they're the best ones in the market.
No, those ones are good. It's because they're thin on the bottom part and they don't actually mess with the travel with the stick. All the other ones do.
Yeah.
The Skull and Co ones are the only ones I've found that actually don't.
Yeah.
But you're right. They're not good.
No.
And I gave you, because those are the ones I gave you. I had 2 pairs of them here. I had the first set, the original set, which I still have in a box somewhere in here. They're somewhere here. I still have those here. I haven't used them because when I took them out, I was holding it. I was like, ooh, feels weird. I don't know. And then they sent what they told me was a new upgraded version. Like I guess the other ones had a little bit of problem where the little cover connected to the top part of the stick wasn't quite covering everything.
Right.
And I guess they fixed that and a few other little things, and those are the ones I gave you. And you're telling me they still have all those problems.
Well, no, I think the cover is fixed. They definitely make it.
The cover is fixed, yeah, but it's
that
still,
doesn't. That was just aesthetic. It doesn't affect anything.
Well, no, it doesn't until you get a bunch of crap in there because it's not covered up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's gonna get in there anyway. Those covers are flimsy. They're actually way worse quality than the regular Joy-Con covers. The Joy-Con ones are still flimsy, but they're definitely a firmer rubber. Where the ones on the goalie kits are like almost like paper. It's so thin, it's like paper. Like you could blow on it and push that cover off. But I think the bigger issue is, like, let's say there's a spill, and not that the Joy-Cons are water resistant at all. But those covers do provide some protection to where it can wick
like a splash, not like a
splash
submersion.
Yeah, a splash. Absolutely, I'm talking about a splash. So that if it's splashed, it can kind of wick right off with that cover there. Just wicks it off. Where if there's a hole in the cover, it's going straight through the cover directly into the circuit boards, and you're broken. So that's the main thing I think there's an issue with.
Yeah, those aren't good. So,
but yeah, those are my two experiences.
To wrap this whole thing up, you asked me the question. In my opinion, yes, this is much needed in the Joy-Cons. If they're going to stick with the Joy-Con style, and we're going to have this type of thing where it needs to be kind of a flatter thing, they had big problems in design, and they are still trying to fix it quietly. So yeah, I mean, this is the way to go. We've seen, at least we know this. Whether Hall Effect is great, revolutionary or not, we're going to have to wait and see how these controllers perform over time. I don't think we've given this technology enough time right now to really see how it's going to do in today's gaming anyway. I mean, we've seen these in some Sega Saturn controller or something had these in it a long time ago, something like that. Yeah. It's a long time ago. But I don't know. This will fix their problem.
Yes.
Their problem is it's a small area. It needs that friction. Kids are smashing down so hard that they're pushing the area of the surface that it's supposed to have the friction on down. It's messing everything up. This will fix that problem. Yeah. So I think as long as they don't feel like shit like the Golly Kit ones, yeah, I mean, yes, all about it.
Yeah. You know what else I'm all about, Drip?
Tell me, Geeb, what are you all about?
Leaf and Bed gardening, coaching, and consulting partner. Drip, of course, Leaf and Bed. This is our last little ditty with Leaf and Bed. So, guys, links are down below in the description if you guys want to get in bed with Leaf and Bed. Not an official thing,
It is now. New tagline. Love it. Get in bed with Leaf in bed.
It's my sister's company. Support their company. So, guys, we spent a lot of time.
It's the ew in the chat.
We spent a lot of time with our devices here. We are on our computers with our Switch, or playing our Switch tablets, playing our PlayStation not portable, whatever that thing's called. The new, we're looking at screen. Portal. We're playing our screens all day, man. We're on our phones. We're on our computers at work, and we come home and play our game systems. We're watching TV. We're doing that all day. But sometimes it's nice to go for a walk, or even maybe have some house plants to take care of, or have a lawn and a garden to take care of. But getting the information that you need to from the internet to take care of these house plants or your garden can be daunting and confusing and overwhelming. So you typically just are like, I don't need the flowers. I don't want to bring those plants inside. I don't really know how to take care of them. I don't want them dying inside. They rot and stink, So all that information is hard to get, but that's where Leaf in Bed comes in to help you out. Leaf in Bed can get you off to a better start and save yourself some time. It can get you off to a better start, and they can save you some time by working with them. They give you some coaching sessions that teach you some gardening skills to maintain what you have or what you want to get. Consultations to plan and design projects with your gardening partner. Customer service available for unique projects and ideas. Those special projects drip, like if you're trying to cut off a plant, one of your tree limbs, and put it into a bowl of water, even, and make a new tree out of it. Well, if that's what you want to do, they can help you out with that.
I don't think it's a scientific term for it, G, but yeah, that's what happened today. Actually,
that's right. Well, go ahead, Drip. Talk about your experience. With Leaf in Bed.
Okay. Well, okay. My experience with Leaf in Bed has been great. I've basically today I've been busy all week. We basically did kind of just some texting back and forth today with pictures about a few different things here and there. Last week I repotted the plant. The week before that, I got a bunch of information on all my plants, things that I could do to help them, to help them grow better. I even used some information that I got from some of these sessions to get some of my plants from outside to inside, and now they're inside. And that let me tell you what, that was a crazy thing that happened this week. We're not going to go into that, but yeah, my tree's getting too big. So today we decided we're going to find a nice place to cut that bad boy off to give it a little bit of room. And now I've taken the little bit of that tree and I'm going to make it into a new tree. So now, Jeep, I'm going to have two trees where I used to have one. It's great.
Isn't that awesome?
It's been amazing. I've really been enjoying it.
Could you have done that without Leaf in Bed's help, do you think?
Not as efficiently as I've been doing it over the past couple weeks. That's for sure.
There you go.
I could have maybe figured it out, but as you said, finding this stuff online is a pain in the ass, to be honest.
Yeah. So you guys can go ahead and schedule your virtual consultation to answer your questions, discuss your goals for as little as $28 a month at leafinbed.com. That is www.leafandbed.com. The Drippin' G podcast listeners, you guys will get 20% off your order. Just go ahead and mention the Drippin' G podcast when you request when you're requesting service with them online or by your. Oh, I am messing this up all over. Sick brain, online or by phone. Make sure to get in bed with Leaf in Bed. Thanks for sponsoring this episode, and they'll never sponsor another episode again. Sorry, sister. But specific for real, guys, if you guys have any plants in your house or a garden and you don't know how to take care of them properly, or they're dying on you, seriously, it's a problem out there. It's not a gaming problem, but it's a problem out there that you may need help with. So go ahead and give my sister a call, or go to leafinbed.com and see if they can help you out.
I mean, my plants are actually growing better than they were before. I mean, all around, everything is growing better because I have more knowledge. So
there you go. Drip.
I already know what you're going to ask me.
You know what's not growing better?
Yes, it is. What?
My brain.
That is true. No, that's true. It's not growing better. It's going to be fine.
What was I going to ask you? Do you have your own segue for this?
You were going to ask me if I thought it was actually possible that the next Nintendo console is not a Switch or a hybrid console at all. And to that,
sure, Drip,
I would tell you, you are out of your mind at this point. With all the information that we have, You're out of your mind, but I will entertain this conversation because I want to hear what you have to say about this.
I don't feel that strongly about it, honestly. Like
that it is a hybrid?
I believe strongly it is a hybrid, but here's what I do want to kind of talk about with you real fast.
Okay.
Do you think the next Switch will have 2 units to start? Now, I'm not talking about a Switch Lite and a Switch tablet.
You mean like a Xbox Series S and an Xbox Series X?
Precisely.
Okay, but in what way? I want to know what way are you feeling about this? Are you feeling more of the power, or maybe just features?
Yes.
To which one?
Both. So
you think one will have more power and more features, and the other will have less? I don't think they're going to go less power.
There's going to be one
power.
that I think they're Drip. If we're going off of my great idea, right? Here's my back that with the Wii U Switch episode we made a few months back.
Yeah.
Here's a possibility we could see sold separately the Switch 2 Pro tablet with DLSS, comes with a regular dock and everything, and then we can see the second version of it that's not an add-on. It can be played on its own, or it can be played in addition with the next Switch. So that, and you can pay, they're not necessarily different price tiers. Let's say the Switch 2 with regular dock, non-upscaling dock, can be $399. And then the Switch, the Switch 2U, as we'll call it, that is a dock-only device that can be paired with. I'm making this up on the fly.
But let me tell you all the things you're saying right now, and I understand where you're going with this and trying to find a way where there's 2 different ones. But everything you just said right there, every single bit of it, sounds exactly like the explanation of what the Wii U was. It sounds like a new piece that goes with the Switch. Sounds very confusing.
Yeah, let's just axe that altogether. That's never going to happen.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. That's why I think
that sounds so confusing, and it sounds exactly like what happened with the Wii U.
Yeah,
everyone thought it was an accessory for the Wii. So
this conversation is going to be turned into exactly why they will not do another weird, confusing thing, and will exactly put out a hybrid console.
Well, I want to go with what you're saying though. Now,
I don't.
There are several different ways where they could put out 2. They could go. I mean, I don't know why they would, because I don't think it would save that much money or make that much of a difference. But I guess they could do like. Okay, so check it out.
Okay.
The PlayStation 5 has a disc version and a digital version.
Right.
They could go somewhere along those lines, but we're not talking about a Blu-ray drive here. We're talking about a couple pieces of metal that read a chip.
Right.
Not a big price cutting measure.
Right.
But they could do something like that, and then also have a little bit less storage in that one. Maybe, maybe it would be a slightly different screen, maybe smaller screen. Then you're getting into Switch Lite territory though, and then it's like we're confusing people again. I don't know. I don't think. Okay, that's probably not the way to go.
No, the way to go is to have one console that is a hybrid console. And so
you've talked yourself out of your whole argument already.
I'll be honest. I'm not even sure why I put this in our notes, and I don't know why. I think this is one of our grasping of things to talk about tonight, and I think just being honest, and I think this is something we should just forget we ever talked about and move on to the next thing. Because I
think you're sick, and you made a set list that you don't remember making.
Maybe I don't know. Sick brain.
The fact that there might be 2 is an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
I think honestly, I think it will be 1. I don't think they're going to go there.
It's interesting because as we have it right now, we have 2. We have the Switch Lite and we have the Switch regular.
We have 3.
Well, ignoring the Switch OLED because it's basically the same thing.
But it's not. Screen. They sell them separate. They're 2 different price points.
Yeah, it's a different screen though. It's not as big a difference as it's lacking an entire feature that is the main feature of the generation.
Right. Well, I mean, it is lacking a feature. The OLED screen. The other one is, and it costs $50 less.
Okay,
so
if you want to play semantics,
out there.
If you want to play semantics, sure. There's 3 versions. So are we going to start with 2 versions or 1 version with the next console? And
I'd say we go with one. I think it's one.
For the sake of the argument, we'll just pretend, just entertain me. Pretend that the OLED is the same thing as the regular Switch, just for this conversation's sake. It's going to make it confusing. Because are we going to get two consoles, meaning the Switch Lite and regular Switch, but the second version of them, next generation? Or are we going to get one console and they're going to forego the Switch Lite altogether, forego that idea of handheld only?
For now.
Or forever.
I don't think they'll do forever. It didn't sell like crazy, but it sold well. It still sold well. And I mean, having that extra option, that's the thing, man. That's why they put it out. Yeah. Smaller kids, like both my kids got Switch Lites. I mean, my 7-year-old has moved up to an OLED at this point. But, she showed me that she likes to play it. She takes care of it. Yeah. It's like, okay, you want a bigger screen. We can make that happen. It's fine. But I mean, for a bunch of parents, it's much easier to be like, yeah, $200, not $350.
Right.
Having that extra option, I think, is a good idea for them. Maybe not at first. And I think the reason that they didn't put it out at first was because of the confusion with the Wii U stuff. They wanted to make sure people were really just like, this is the thing. There's no confusing it with this other thing.
That's very possible.
This is it. So, I mean, coming back around and doing the same thing again, it would not surprise me if we saw the Switch 2, and then we saw the Switch Lite 2. I mean, basically the same. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. There could be so many different variables in this because we don't know what the Switch 2 is going to be. We don't know if there's going to be some extra gimmick that makes a Switch Lite harder to just be a Switch Lite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd like to move on, Drip, if you're ready to move on.
Oh yeah, I'm done.
Not good segues for me tonight. Sick brain.
Yeah, you're all right, man. You're good.
So I had an epiphany the other day. Drip. This is what inspired today's episode. The thumbnail, the title. This is what inspired it. We've talked about the next console being the next gen Switch. I know I've said those words exactly multiple times on this podcast and with you. But I don't think I truly understood that the next console we're going to get from Nintendo is not going to be a revision of the current Switch. It's going to be the next generation. And I mean like going from Gen 8, where the Switch currently lives, to
Which
generation...
Is weird, and we'll talk about that too.
We will.
But yeah.
To Generation 9. Where the current PS5 and Xbox Series S live, X and X.
Yeah.
Like think about it, guys. Like, we've been wanting Switch Pro, Switch 2, Switch Pro, Switch 2, Switch Pro. Been on the internet since the Switch came out, basically. That would be a second variation of the current Switch, or a revision, if you will. But that's not what we're going to get next from Nintendo. The revision was the OLED. That's that. There are no more revisions coming out from Nintendo for the Switch. The next thing come out is the next generation, the next big hype thing, which makes the whole thing of like the next Switch running similar to a PS5 more believable to me than it was when we talked about it last week, because it's the next generation from Nintendo. It needs to be more powerful and different. A Switch revision doesn't need to be a Switch Pro level. Or, excuse me. The Switch
we're way beyond a revision.
It doesn't need to be PS5 level if it's just a revision.
I think it's crazy that you're just now like, oh my God.
Yeah, like I literally did not put that together. That like we're talking like Generation 9 Switch. Is it even going to be a Switch? Is it going to be
I don't think
a whole nother name?
I just don't think it's going to be called a Switch.
I think
like even in my comment section of that video is like, they could call it a Switch too easy. They could call it a Switch too easy. They could call it a Switch too easy.
I kind of hope they do, because I would prefer them to PS5. In the next PlayStation's gonna be PS6, and then after that PS7, PS8. I prefer that method than like making a whole new name up for no reason.
But it's not for no reason. None of these names have been for no reason, though. I mean, we had the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Give me one good reason why the Wii U is named the Wii U. Go.
I will tell you. I will tell you
I said
exactly why it's
give me a
called
good reason.
I will tell you. I don't know if it's a good reason, but I will tell you the reason.
I
don't
know
know
why.
if it's a good reason.
I know why, but give me a good reason.
I mean, the Super Nintendo was literally a souped-up version. It was a 16-bit version of the 8-bit Nintendo.
Yeah, fantastic
Super
name.
Nintendo.
The best name they've ever done.
Yes, that was great. The GameCube. I mean, come on, look at the thing. It was shaped like a cube. Duh. So easy. Perfect. It's a cube that plays games.
Yeah.
That was dumb. The Wii. The Wii was called the Wii because of the style of games it had on it, the style of controllers it had. It was accessible to everyone. It was for people to play together.
It was for you.
We. Us.
Oh, Wii. Right. Yeah.
Now, the Wii U was supposed to go back and get the hardcore gamers back. So it's like, we do play together. But this, this whole thing, this is about you. So it's the Wii U.
The absolute dumbest. I mean,
yeah, they got into the weeds. They got into the fucking weeds on that. There's no question.
Cap off, besides how bad that console was in general, mistakes they made, that was one of the biggest mistakes they made.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie had like a whole speech about the thing. I don't remember it, but like,
if you need a whole
E3
speech
that year, he had a whole speech about, yeah. If you need to explain it that much, it's not a good name. Which is not a good name.
Which is the exact reason why I think the next Switch should just be the Switch 2 or Super Switch, and the Switch name lives on for that exact reason that we never need to go through this again. We don't need the Switch U, the Switch 2, or the Wii U. We don't need dumb names like that anymore.
But what if it was just a completely different name?
The brand,
because it made sense with whatever it had.
Hold on,
it does.
Think about this: the best name they ever had, the Super Nintendo. Why was that the best name they ever had? Well, first of all, it's cool. It's fun to say, but second, they had a brand and they were selling you the brand. The brand was Nintendo, and this is the Super Nintendo. You thought Nintendo was awesome? Here's the Super Nintendo. That's why it was such a brilliant name, because the name to begin with was just their company name, Nintendo. The next thing, the Super Nintendo. Brilliant. The Switch can be the new not that the Nintendo needs to be rebranded to the Switch. Like, I'm not suggesting rename the company to Switch. I'm saying for their console series, the Switch is the name. Exactly. Like that is the
Sony PlayStation.
That
the
is
Nintendo
the brand.
I get what you mean, yeah.
That is, if they don't do that, it's dumb. It's a dumb choice. It could be a good name. I'm not saying they can't come up with another good name.
If they stick with the hybrid system, you're right. It's a very viable way to go about it, because it does keep things simple enough. And if you're going to keep the switching, the hybrid thing, yeah, I mean, we haven't seen them do that yet, but it's a possibility that they could actually do it this time. And I mean, who knows? We've talked about this too. Let's go here. Now let's say we have the Nintendo Switch, just like we have the Sony PlayStation or the, whatever. Xbox is kind of weird with it. They have the Xbox brand, but they do they do it different. That's whatever. I mean,
they do different to the ground, because that's where the company's
see how
going.
they're doing. But okay,
Xbox, not the brand.
But if they do keep that Switch branding and just start putting numbers behind it, that really does open up the window for them to make that just one of the things that they have. You know what I mean? We've talked about this. Like, what if Nintendo goes back into just the home console and they can actually do games that were more powerful? Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to do that, though, because they've already taken two divisions, the handheld developers and the console developers, and brought them into the same place.
Yeah. So
it's kind of hard to do that, but if you give the Switch that, I don't know. There's so many ways they could go with it. I'm afraid the Switch 2 is just not Nintendo enough. And I know that sounds dumb, but
yeah, the Super Nintendo is, though. Oh, excuse me, Super Switch is.
Super Switch would be sweet. Like, if we're going for names that I want, top of the list.
You do then run into the problem what they had with the Super Nintendo. Like, what do you call the next thing? Well, you just rename it all together. Or they did do it smartly, where they were like, well, it's the N64, Nintendo 64, because it's 64 bits. That's the console. So not that they could really do that again, because how many bits would it be? 1 million bits? How many bits?
The Super Switch. And then the Super Duper Switch.
I recognize that as a problem going forward, But then instead of having creative names and rebranding the console every generation, just keep the Switch brand the name, but then come up with fun names to go next to the Switch every time. If they're so against the number system, if they're so against it, then just do that.
We can't do that. We can't. We did that once, remember? We did the Nintendo Wii, and then we did the Nintendo Wii U.
More of a reason that the answer is to keep the Switch branding and go to the number system. Just Switch 2. Easy, simple, easy breezy color girl. Cover girl, not color girl.
Close.
Joke rude. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I am the joke. I'm here as a joke. I'm not real.
I don't know, man. It's very, very, very difficult to know what to do because they really did. I mean, they messed it up so bad with the Wii U. Mm-hmm. They messed it up so bad. I'm sure they're scared to death. I mean, they probably have a gigantic wall of names with red lines going to each one. But this could happen if we call it this. They might think that. And then there's this problem. And if we do that, who knows what they're going to think this is. I'm sure they're scared to death because they had this thing completely. It's a huge hit. 125, 130 million units sold. And then they messed the name up and messed the brand, messed the marketing up again. I'm sure this is like the scariest thing they've ever done as a company. It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be up there.
Yep.
There's no way. They probably have double the people they normally have on this shit right now. That's probably why it hasn't come out. That's probably why we're still waiting. We don't know what to call it. We're afraid.
They shouldn't be because it's obvious. The answer is to go with the Switch again. Super Switch would be badass. Switch 2 makes more sense. Go with the Switch 2. Think about the Super Switch. It's not a hard decision. I hope that's the least of their worries is the name. But it's a funny thought to think about.
I guarantee they're really worried about it. Honestly, I guarantee they are. They have to be. After the Wii U stuff, they got to be. They absolutely have to be.
They're only going to be worried about it if they're not considering Switch 2. Because if they're considering Switch 2, there is literally absolutely nothing to worry about. They have
I just feel like that is not a Nintendo thing to do.
Hey,
it's just we're going to call it the Switch 2.
Nintendo has.
I'm not saying it's not a. I'm just saying they've never done this.
Right.
And I don't see them just being like, it's Switch 2. It's whatever. It's fine. I want to talk about something else real quick, though,
Sure.
that I found out today that kind of blows my mind. Geeb and I were talking about the generation.
Yeah.
Like all the generations of gaming. And I was like, well, is the Switch... The Switch is their ninth, like this would be the ninth console, right? Or the ninth generation, because it was that one after the Wii U that was in the 8th generation. And this next one would be the 10th. They would actually be ahead, which I guess is wrong. I found out today, and then I started counting Nintendo systems, and I was like, wait, they don't even have that many. They don't even have that many systems. How are we in the 9th generation already? Then I realized it's not the 9th generation of Nintendo systems. It's just the 9th generation of gaming systems that have ever existed on this planet, which is crazy.
Yeah,
it's wild because I forgot about that. Like generation
we're going back to the Magnavox Odyssey.
Okay, don't listen. Don't worry about
Pong, the Coleco Telstar.
The Atari Pong is all you need to know. That's fine.
But I'm just putting the audio people who can't see this chart in the frame of mind here. We're going back to 72.
Okay, first generation's Atari Pong. We're going to keep it simple. We don't need to go into all the other ones.
Yeah, we can just name
the
one.
Second generation, all you need to know is the Atari 2600, the Intellivision.
76 to 1992 would be
the ColecoVision. Okay, so the third generation was the 8-bit generation.
1983 to 2003.
Yeah, well, okay, but then that's where we start to get Nintendo, Sega popping in there.
Yep.
So they came in the third generation, which I think is just so weird that it's like it's not they came in generations later. How can we call all these and like
I'm going to correct. This is Wikipedia, so there's errors. I want to make a correction. 1983 to 1987, because because then it'd be the 4th generation is 1987 to 2004.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
They're so wrong. I don't understand. whatever.
They're saying the last system. They're saying that's when the next system came out. In that the very last system was replaced in that year.
I get it now. I get it. Okay, I'm gonna just say the first number, not the second number.
Yeah. It's when it started. It's fine. But I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how come they get to. How come they get to say that they're in the 9th generation, the 8th generation, when they're not? Like, especially Microsoft. They weren't even here. They didn't even show up till the 6th generation.
Right. But so, are you going to continue on? Or do you want me to? I
just think it's very weird that we call, like, everybody gets to go in the entire timeline when you ain't even been around. It's very strange to me.
That's like saying that we can't say that we live in the year 2023 because I was only born in 1994, so 1994 for me was year number 0. So I currently live in the year 28. You live in year 37. We don't live in 2023. Because how can you possibly say you live in 2023 when you were only born in 1985?
I get your point. I just think it's strange. Because once I started counting those up today, I'm like, what the hell? Hold on a second.
After what I just said, how can you possibly think it's strange?
I think it's weird. It's fine. I get it. I understand it. I just don't agree with it. Okay, but I want to just breeze through these real quick because there's some. I see Megaboyd said he had a ColecoVision when he was a kid. Do you know what we had when I was a kid that was really awesome? My stepdad had one, and it was in the 4th generation. We had our Super NES. We had a Genesis out at my dad's house, but my stepdad had a TurboGrafx 16. Let me tell you something. The TurboGrafx 16 was sick. It was so cool. It used literally the games were on credit cards.
Oh.
It was so cool, man. It was so cool. They had some really good games on there, too. What?
Do you mean floppy disks?
No, they were literally like credit cards. Like they were the shape of like your government ID. And it had little gold or copper prongs on the end, kind of like an SD card.
What console was this again?
The TurboGrafx 16.
TurboGrafx 16, huh.
Yeah, it's cool. You've actually played some TurboGrafx games on my arcade back here.
Yeah? Cool.
You have, yes. That was cool. And then obviously we had Sega Saturn, then we had PlayStation come out, and 64 in the 5th, Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox in the 6th. 7th was Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Wii. Now here's where I think it's kind of weird.
It's getting weird here toward the end, yeah.
This is weird, and I don't agree with this. The Wii U, the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, 8th generation. But the Switch is also in the 8th generation. How? Why? I don't understand how that just gets lumped into the 8th generation when it's clearly a completely different platform than what they had before. It's not like it was just a revision of the Wii U. It's a completely different thing. How come that one doesn't get to go be the 9th generation?
I think because Nintendo doesn't quite follow the same generation scale as everybody else, particularly Sony and Microsoft.
But every other one of these generations has one of each.
The Wii U, I'm starting with the Wii/Wii U. The Wii U kind of came in a weird area, and therefore the Switch came in a weird area. Okay. Also, don't forget this chart's Wikipedia, so don't take this as church. This is what we're. I got fraud. They can't.
Well, okay. I will say this.
This chart is not church. This chart is could be up to question.
Yeah, I saw this Wikipedia one, but I looked at other ones too. And all of them have the Switch in Gen 8, which I think is weird. I don't know.
Well, I don't though.
I'm not that guy. I don't know why it's there. I'm sure there are reasons. It doesn't make sense though.
You can make the argument that the Switch was Generation 7, just like the very, very end of Gen 7. Okay?
No, 8.
No. According to this chart, 7. Because Generation 7 ended around 2017.
The 7th generation is Wii, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360.
No, okay.
8th gen these numbers is Wii U,
right? So no,
PlayStation 4, Xbox
I guess
One,
what I'm saying
Nintendo
is
Switch.
You could make the argument that the Wii U was the tail end of 7, and that would kind of fix the confusion.
But then there's still the Wii in the 7th.
Yeah, because the Wii came out in the beginning of Generation 7, and the Wii U came out in the
When
end
did the Wii
of
U
Gen
come
7.
out? It was 2006, right? I believe it was 2006.
I believe you. Sounds about right.
Yeah, November 19th, 2006.
Oh my God, it's my birthday.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Okay, and then 2012 we got the Wii U, and 2017 we got the I don't know. It's just strange to me. Whatever.
Okay, the Wii went on for too long, and the Wii U was too short. And for those two reasons, I think is why this chart gets wonky for Nintendo.
Okay, that's fine, and I'll accept that, I guess. But like, I don't know. It's weird. I guess it would make sense though. If we just kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation and what you said, like your epiphany last night, like, oh yeah, like we are going into the next generation and this thing's going to look, Xbox Series X level, PlayStation 5 level. We're going to get that type of at least visuals from it, hopefully. Mm-hmm. So I guess it does belong there. But technically, if you're going for every time you release a new console, you go to the next generation, technically, this would actually be the 10th generation Nintendo Switch, which would actually make a lot more sense because Nintendo is always a generation behind. So their 10th generation being on par with the actual 9th generation actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how they catch up, though. Maybe this is their catch-up game. We just did an extra one, and now we're here. It's actually our 10th.
Yeah, but the Switch is absolutely not the beginning of Generation 9. The Switch came in clearly before Generation 9. I don't think you can really make it.
I guess so.
I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't actually make sense in reality because Generation 9 didn't start until the Xbox Series S and X and PlayStation 5 came out, and that didn't happen until 2020. So that's the beginning of Generation 9. Switch is definitely 8. It's the Wii U that's the confusing part here, and the Wii. It's not the Switch's fault why it's an 8. It's the Wii U's fault why it's an 8. It shouldn't be an 8. The Wii U should be in 7. And so the Wii should be probably in. It's just weird. The timings are all weird.
No, I mean the Wii came out in 2006.
Yeah, but the original Xbox was 04. So yes, I guess that also.
No, original Xbox was
01.
2001. Yeah,
right. So that maybe that's the beginning of the weirdness from Nintendo is that the Wii U, or excuse me, the Wii came out 5 years after it probably should have in terms.
And what is this scale that we all have decided that we believe in that makes this all work?
What was his name? Mr. Mo?
I don't know.
What is it? Moore. The Moore's Law for technology. Don't ask me what that means, everybody. This is also a Wikipedia article, so who knows how the validity of most of this information. But if you're basically by following the generation scale as we know it currently, with the Gen 9 being Xbox Series, Xbox and PS5, Moore's Law for technology is apparently that scale. Maybe some guy named Moore came up with all this generation stuff. Who knows?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Interesting thing here. So yeah, hopefully this wasn't. You guys kind of followed why the thumbnail was what it was in the title, because things that you may have missed didn't quite understand about, or think not understand, but you missed, because I totally missed that we're kind of going into Generation 9 with this next Switch. So
yeah.
I shouldn't have, but I did. It's something I missed.
But it's actually Generation 10.
And the patents. No, it's not. And the patents.
But it is.
And the patents thing. I mean, this is very likely you missed one or two of those. So, at least. Drip. I'm fatigued for talking for so long.
I'm sure.
Went a week for being sick, and this is my first time doing anything significant besides my walk today. So yeah, we're going to call it an episode here. If you're in the chat hanging around, don't leave. We'll hang out, talk to you guys in the after show. But those of you on the audio side of things, don't forget next week. I didn't make this announcement. I'm going to make it right now. I did it in the pre-show, but obviously those of you in the recording of this episode did not hear. We're having a guest on next week. That guest is going to remain a secret for now, except for right now. I'm going to tell you guys, because this is the end. If you're listening to the end of the audio, you're going to hear our guest is John Ebo. John Ebo. You may have seen his stuff on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts. You also may have seen the controversy that he kind of caused with Mortal Kombat. That's our guest for next Wednesday. The episode will be next Wednesday. If you made it to the end of the episode,
if you made it
to the end of the episode, there's your little treat. That's who our guest is next week. John, I assume your name is John. We haven't actually spoken with him yet in person or over digital. So we'll talk to him.
I would guess that's his name.
I would guess so.
I'm going to guess. I'd put actually money on that.
Yeah.
But
so next week, look forward to John Ebo coming on the podcast. Next Wednesday, guys, for the stream. And obviously Thursday morning is when that video will be uploaded to YouTube and posted to the audio platforms. So next week, Wednesday, we'll see you guys then. But for now, guys, we're going to sign off tonight, and we will see you guys next Wednesday.
See ya.